Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Zoom Into Wine. It's time for the show and your host, Ian Blackburn. All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Zoom Into Wine. My name is Ian Blackburn. Every Wednesday night at 7 o'clock, we get together and talk about fine wine, wines of the world, and get some great people involved. So let's get started. I've got a great show for us tonight. We're going down to the Southern Hemisphere, and we're going to have some fun learning about the wines of the world. I'm going to get my slideshow up here. Make sure we are in a good shape. Here we go. Come on, slideshow. Thank you. All right, I'm going to share that slideshow with you now. And here we go. A couple more people coming on to join us tonight, a little bit late, but we'll catch up with them in a bit. I want to get started and get us right into it because we've got a packed show. Those of you that got your Zoom kits at home, we threw in a little 7th bonus wine, and I'll talk about that in a little while. But let's get started with wine number 1 and kind of set the mood. Wine number 1 is from Craggy range. This has been one of the best-selling wines probably in my wine store and a lot of wine stores nationwide, is it checks a bunch of boxes. First of all, it is a Sauvignon Blanc, which has been blowing up for a number of years as one of America's favorite grape varieties. It is a New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc, which has been taking share for a long time and now is the benchmark Sauvignon Blanc for the world. It is a Martinborough Sauvignon Blanc from a single vineyard right across from Marlborough, but a little different exposition, a little different site, a little cooler, a little everything's a little different. And so it really makes for a very unique wine. And this is a fantastic property. And I'll show you here where you can see Marlborough, which is where most people think New Zealand Sauvignon Blancs come from, is right here. It's literally across the bay. And this is a place that's, you know, obviously benefiting from the Southern Hemisphere, one of the most southerly vineyards in the world. Sun doesn't really go down for very long periods of time, weeks, months at a time. And so you get this exaggerated weather there with very cool weather. And this extended period of time with the sun and the leaf getting all that information from the sun without incredible warmth. You're getting this nuanced New Zealand wine made by a series of top winemakers. This is their focus there. They do make some other wines at Craggy Range, and they do some spectacular stuff. They were built to be the top winery of New Zealand from day one. They had everything they needed, an incredible investor. It was quite a story. And I got to be a little bit of a part of it because this wine came into the world while I was working back in the early 2000s for the importer. Our first vintage, I started with Co-Brand in 1999, and that was the year that we first saw that wine head into the America. And it was really fun to be a part of. And I'm so proud to see how this wine continues to soar. And a number of great wine people have been associated with the brand. I just got a comment about this picture. It looks just like that today. I was able to visit and stay on the property. All of New Zealand is magically pristine and gorgeous. And we are planning a trip to New Zealand in late November. So if you would like to come with me, please go to Learn About Wine and sign up on the website for interest list. It's free. We'd love to let you know when the trip is finally done. We're going through a lot to make this trip happen, But it is a really special spot, and the wines are really great. 2025, by the way, it was considered the greatest vintage of all time for New Zealand. So we're going to see some continued beautiful stuff because this one is a 2024, and we're just heading straight into greatness. So it doesn't get any worse from here. This is 100% Sauvignon Blanc. It's stainless steel, pale lemon color, and you can really get lost in the nose of this wine. It's definitely identifiably New Zealand. It kind of screams from the glass that it is it's definitely it's kind of that ringer is what we would call it, type of a wine. Super crispy acidity, great minerality, salinity, that little bit of salty air. Obviously, a lot of oceanic influence, perfect for oysters, shellfish, goat cheese, so many things. A great way to start off a wine tasting, kind of clear your mind, clear your palate, clear the day. And I hope everyone's had a pretty good day. I actually hope you all had a much better day than I did. My day sucked. I can't wait to drink this glass of wine. Mm. Day's getting better. Edge is coming off. All right. Feel the intensity there. Feel the length when you taste that. You can feel it vibrating. That acidity is just rocking. And this is just really a special iteration of New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc. I do believe it's priced. I mean, I think the importer could jack the price up of this about $10 a bottle if they wanted to. It it would still be a banging value at its price point, 93 points. Meyer lemon, key lime, absolutely apple, little uh, Litsi oil. That's a fun accent. Tea and Himalayan sea salt, all those wonderful specifics. 20 olive. This wine, hard to beat it. I've got a much expensive New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc. Frank, the great wine for $10. Not even close to this one. I'm bringing in another one that's a very different style, a little more traditional, a little more more. This one, that in the lane, and I think it has all those Sancerre tendencies, but with bionic acidity. It's just tremendous. So support range because the name is definitely bankable, and there's been a lot of great personalities that have worked at this brand, and I've really enjoyed my association and my time with them, and they continue to be very supportive. We're going to quickly move into wine number 2, setting the pace. Gotta have another sip though. I have been on a very mean diet, doing a very protein heavy program, so almost no wine. But tonight I must have a little bit, especially because these are so great. I'm not even going to say anything. We have a special guest to get us into this one. This little I can see the video there, but it's taken a while to employ in slideshow format. There it goes. Let's go. Hey, when you're putting together a Zoom, you get great people involved. Great things can happen. My friend Christopher Levin is in charge of the broadband portfolio here in California. And he said, let's see if we can get an Aussie on board. And he went straight to the source. Andrew Moody is the export manager for Tyrrell's Semillon, or Semillon, as you guys call it down there, right? And this is the VAT1 iteration, which is quite famous. And I'd love to have you, Andrew, with that great accent. Tell us all about Tyrrell's and VAT1, and how did you guys even start making Semillon?
Sure. Well, let's start with Hunter Valley. So Hunter Valley as a wine region precedes Tyrrell's by about 30 years. The Hunter Valley is about 2.5 hours north of Sydney, on the east coast of Australia. Certainly people overseas think of Australian wine, their minds very much focus on that big heavy style of Shiraz that we get from the Barossa. And you can see the Barossa is it's about 1,300 kilometers, about 1,000 miles away from us in the Hunter, on that sort of section close to Adelaide. So the styles of wines that we get from the Hunter region is very, very different. The weather, the climate, the soils. We are a continent, and you have to remember that Australia is such a large continent that it almost takes as long to fly from Sydney to Perth as it does from, let's say, North Carolina to Los Angeles. It's transcontinental. So here we are in the Hunter, 2.5 hours north of Sydney. And about 200 years ago, almost 200 years ago, a man called James Busby was sent by the colonial government of New South Wales back to the old world, especially to France, to collect some vine samples and to bring them back to Australia and start a wine industry. I think the reason behind this was we had a bit of an alcohol crisis at the time, in terms of a lot of people were making bootlegging, they're bootleggers and making backyard rum at very high alcohol content, and it was used as a currency. It was the currency of New South Wales for a while. And they thought, well, if people start drinking something a little bit less strong than backyard rum, then maybe we'll get them to do a day's work. So that's probably the foundation of the reasoning behind founding a wine industry in Australia. So Busby went over to the old world. He came back with cuttings, which he collected from all across France, Italy, Spain, and he brought them back to the Botanic Gardens in Sydney. And the government took most of those samples, and a lot of those samples became the foundation of the Barossa, of McLaren Vale. When we talk about those old bush vines of Grenache and Shiraz that we have over in Barossa, those come from those original Busby plantings. But Busby was good enough to hold some of those cuttings for himself, and he had a small family property up in the Hunter, and he planted those vines. Now, of course, the Hunter is a hot, humid place. We are about 50 kilometers inland. Our climate is moderated a lot by a warm water current that blows down from the Great Barrier Reef, and it brings those warm, humid winds inland with it. So if we were any closer to the coast, we would have a lot more rain, a lot more humidity, and it wouldn't be a good wine growing region. If we're a bit further inland, which we do, you can see the Upper Hunter has some wine growing areas. It's good as well, but we're kind of in this little sweet spot where it's a mixture of that humid coastal breeze crossing with some of the dry inland breezes, and the soils in some of the places that we grow on just happen to be right. So it wasn't anything by design. It was just luck. That looks like an HVD vineyard, actually, planted in 1908. That was Busby in 1828. Then 30 years later, Edward Tyrrell landed on a boat coming out as a free settler from the UK. The man was a city boy. He didn't know anything about farming, but he was determined to become a farmer. And he was too late to buy cattle property, all the good cattle, the milk cow properties. All the good milk cow properties had been taken, and he acquired had a property that was pretty much good for growing cattle. His job, you didn't get it for free. He had to buy it, but it was part of the settler movement. So the only thing he had to do was to clear the land and build a structure and live in it. He couldn't be what's called. You couldn't have remote sheep. He had to build a winery, and that's there. That we've got, which is now the Semillon winery that he built in 1862, and a little shed to the next left of it, which is still looking a bit sort of run down. That's the one. That's actually the blacksmith's hut.
The wine that we picked for today from Tyrrell's is a Semillon or Semillon, and it's a very special one. There are a couple different iterations, but this is that one. What does that mean?
Okay, so the Semillon was planted in the, I say, 1960s or so. And again, it's a variety that would have come out with Busby, and its name would have been lost. Semillon,
I believe, is
probably cuttings from an 1860 plantation, and I just know that the VAT One foundation was planted in about the 1960s. The foundation, or some of it was the oldest planting for the VAT One. Actually, was planted in 1923. So that there's one patch that's actually over 100 years old now, and it would have been something that Busby would have picked up, obviously, from Bordeaux, being the foundation of Bordeaux Blanc. And its name would have been lost over time. It was just one of these many white wines that he would have planted in his own property. Some would die, some would die. So, for example, just doesn't survive. So that would have gone. And by the Tyrrells come along, they say, give us some vines that produce a white wine. And it would have been this. And nobody knew it was Semillon until, of course, many years later. So what happened is, the story with the VAT One is we've got several plantings of Semillon around our estate, but we're finding that the team was actually making the better bits of Semillon from a couple of patches, and those would end up in the first vat. Okay, so back in the 1960s, we did not have any electricity at the winery. We only got electricity in like the early mid-70s. So everything was still made in large old wooden vats. The wood was not to give it any oakiness. It was simply just a storage device at this stage. All the oak in the Semillon wines had already been used up for the Chardonnay and everything like that. So it was just a neutral place to put the wine. So the wine's improved since then. What happened was that in the 70s, we got power. They tried to put cooling tubes through those oak vats. It didn't work very well because, of course, oak wooden vats aren't good insulation material. They saw what was happening over the hill at Lindeman's, and Lindeman's had invested in stainless steel. So we thought, okay, let's get some stainless steel. What we'll do is we'll put the cooling rods in the stainless steel. That'll control the ferment. And then when that's done, we'll put it back into the oak to mellow. Well, they never put it back in the oak. It tasted so good from the stainless steel that it never, ever went back into oak after the 1970s. And then it was the 1980s when Bruce discovered that if he put that one away for 5 or 6 years, he hid it from his father, Murray, it tasted even better because of its high acidity, high natural acidity and low sugar. It's a wine that turns out it can age for a long time. And Bruce would hide the wine, and then after 5 or 6 years, he would bring it out, and he entered it into all these competitions, and it just won gold medal after gold medal after gold medal. In the life of that one in the 1960s, it's Australia's most awarded white wine. So it's won over 5,500. I think this count was done like 10 years ago, so it's probably over 6,000 now. Over 6,000 medals, awards, accolades. And so it's now regarded, as Australia's most awarded white wine.
Low in alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
Naturally. And
yep.
something that you can put in your cellar. I mean, obviously it's great to drink it right now, but you could save this for how long is the
40 years?
40 years.
Yeah. Well, we haven't.
This vintage.
You could do.
This is a wine that benefits some bottle age. Like you said, it's released to start drinking today. But I also feel like what's really cool is you can stand this upright in your cellar as opposed to having to find a slot to store it on its side because of the beauty of the screw cap. And Andrew, remind me, are you guys going to be releasing any large format in the U.S. market in the future?
Honestly, I'm not sure what's available at this stage, I'm afraid, Chris. If we're making large format and we're bottling them now, you're going to have to wait 5 or 6 years because we're not going to release those until we release the 750 mil.
I got a question for you, Andrew.
Well. Sure.
What is like the typical food pairing for this wine?
Oh, it's a good one. That's a good one because this is where it gets fun. So obviously, several options. Seafood. Seafood's a broad category. It's a broad church. But raw seafood. So we could talk about sashimis. We could talk about sushi. We could talk about, say, carpaccio. Fish and chips. So classic British, Australian style, deep fried fish and chips, or tempura. If you want to go down the Japanese route, tempura.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Andrew. Appreciate you being here.
Andrew,
All right.
nice day. We'll talk later. Thank you so much.
Of course. Bye-bye.
See you.
Yeah, he and that video, by the way, I told him in advance that was supposed to be about 6-7 minutes. I think we were like 27 minutes by the time he finished. It was he is passionate, and so is Chris. So we learned a lot about Tyrrells. There was actually a whole discussion. You could pronounce it Tyrrells, all that. We talked about that. Then we talked about Semillon or Semillon. Semillon is the grape from Bordeaux, and they just call it Semillon because they're Australian. And this is the most awarded white wine in all of Australia. The VAT one. Now, as I put in the notes, but other people that are watching this video wouldn't see that this winery makes several different Semillon, and maybe 3 or 4. And one of them's just called Hunter Valley Semillon. A beautiful bottle of wine, a great deal. But this one is like way up here. It is the VAT one is where all the best blocks go, and it just makes it's like the difference between appellation and Grand Cru. It is that difference. And I also said in the comments that I really hope after the Craggy range everyone was able to like reset, because the Craggy range is just so persistent and like a laser beam blowing through the screen, and then you get this like a chillax type of attitude with the Semillon, and it is super geeky but not as loud. It's kind of it's like moving from a rock on the radio station, moving from like heavy metal straight into a Sade or something. It's just quite a move. So it took a second to become a smooth operator there. I hope you like that transition. We're at $59.95. Like I said, the regular Hunter Valley you could buy, God, it might even be as low as like $29.95 for the regular. This is the top. And when the opportunity came to restock, because I did start this Zoom off with the regular, and then when the restock came in, they had just got the 18. This, when they were talking about laying it down, this is the company sent me the 18 that's reserved for top restaurants in America. So we got 12 bottles in stock, and some of those have already gone, but I'm sure I can get some more. It just came in, hope for God, and it is an opportunity to grab one of the great wines, and my price is razor good, razor sharp. So glad you like that, Teresa. Glad to read that. Jen, I hope the smoked salmon is just great with that dish. Super. And you can drink smoked salmon all night long with all the wines that we're going to be having. We're going to go to this really cool little Chenin Blanc producer. Now, it's a terrible business idea, but I love Chenin Blanc so much. I could have the world's largest Chenin Blanc selection. And Chenin Blanc, you got the classics from Loire Valley like Vouvray, and there's drier styles, and there's sweeter styles, and there's different appellations in the Loire Valley that do it a little differently. Then you go down to you come to America, we've got our stuff. We've got our iterations coming from Oregon, Argentina. It's a really loved grape, and I would say it's hard to argue with how great this wine is in South Africa. This is such an important wine to the South Africans. They actually have a nickname for it. It's called Steen. And Steen is what they call it around Stellenbosch and Cape Town. And that's where this wine comes from. Now, I don't have the winemaker with me, but he was in this office just a few months ago when we brought in these wines. Great importer brings them in. They bring in some top wines of the world, and they were super excited to show this wine to me. And I was standing here with Mick. He's the owner, he's the winemaker, good looking dude, like 6'5", built like an Adonis. And he has this fantastic vineyard site, a lot of old vine material. Everything there is grown with highest ethos. Look at that sunshine, those mountains. What wouldn't grow in this weather? It is so similar to Southern California there when you're there. Just imagine a collide of Jurassic Park and Los Angeles coming together. That is South Africa. It is really beautiful, really raw. I'm standing on the ocean cliff looking out at seals and killer whales and sharks and penguins. Stephanie's favorite, penguins. Penguins are everywhere. 100% Chenin Blanc. Dry farmed. Actually, not dry farmed, but bone dry is a style. They do need to irrigate there. The soils are so deplete. We're talking about chalk, limestone from so many millions of years of ocean, just layers of oceanic soils. So very, very poor soils for anything else but grapes, and fantastic conditions to grow grapes. So Chenin Blanc can create sweet, long-lived wines as well as these dry styles. Flowers, damp straw. I want you guys to think about that when you put your nose into the glass, because that's like the bing. Oh, we're drinking Chenin Blanc, damp straw. And I'm starting to see that reference often. It's great. And you got to have a little honey in there. Not sweet honey, just the smell of the honey. Generally high in acid. Perfect for lots of reasons. It's like Chenin Blanc weather, 365 in Los Angeles. It was about 80 degrees in our winter day today. Just spectacular weather we're having here in California. And they have it in South Africa as well. It's a gorgeous place to visit. The dollar is king there. So when you get these really well-made wines, this is a single vineyard Chenin Blanc from old vines. They get really low yields. They bring it in, making it at the highest level. I'm going to tell you right now, honestly, this is one of the most expensive Chenin Blancs in South Africa at $32.95. Now, I carry one that's even more expensive, but it's called like I think the first letter is F is the cuss word. FMC, and that's the because it's like the craziest Chenin Blanc made. And so those are the two hyper examples of Chenin Blanc that we have on the website. Then I have all kinds of Chenins that fall in different price points. Let's measure this one out. I'd love to get your guys' feedback as you taste this with me. Was I crazy when I fell in love with this wine? Because I think I haven't tasted it yet, but I want to taste it with you and hear what you think. Don't everybody talk at once. I'm still trying to taste here. Stephanie, you and Dave got any feedback on this one? Stephanie is our new white wine fan. We're converting her.
At first, I mean, it was hard because I really, really loved number two, right? So at first, I wasn't, but as the more I have it, the more I could see on a hot day, it would be nice.
Spoken like a true white wine fan. Amy? Great to see you, Amy. What are you thinking? I love the personality that's in the nose. It's just got like it has almost like a little bit of a white balsamic. The perfume's really cool. Pretty compact and tight today. That one is kind of like a little bit more inviting. This one's got almost a little bit of bitterness on the finish, a little bit of that tightness and tactile character. It's sounding like I don't like it, but I do. It's just really it's interesting to taste these in line like this. It's like a clash of titans. They're all so acidic and so different and so unique and so iconic to their own places. But I'm not sure I would recommend stacking them up the way we did, because it is we need to have like a 3-course Michelin meal between these wines. These wines are just crying out for food. This is not the casual Chenin that you're gonna pull out to, you got an inexpensive bottle of wine. This is a benchmark Chenin Blanc. That character unravels, and this wine will age like a beast. The nose is so cool. It's like whetstones, white balsamic, sea salt, Asian pear. I haven't picked up the honey yet. Maybe more like honeysuckle, kind of floral. But that has that grippy licking a rock sensation. And then that prolonged acidity. Just really interesting and so good with food. Good God. We needed oysters, some salmon, some lobster. Let's get a seafood tower in this office immediately because that's what we needed tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed. Only a couple bottles left. Teeny little producer. The importer brings in all these micro gems and they sell them almost exclusively to Michelin star restaurants. So if you go to like one of the 2 or 3 stars and they're pouring this wine by the glass, you'll know where to find it. There's very little of it out there. And this, just think about this with like some sort of like a grilled whitefish or seared, type of seafood. I could name just anything from scallops to sushi. It's all going to go beautifully well with hamachi, with any of these wines, and great with this one too. And while we're at it, we're tasting all these great whites. Next week is ridiculous time. Stephanie, I made this one for you. It's a study of benchmarks in white wine. Okay, this is like going deep. Might be throwing you into the deep end a little quickly here. But if you're studying wine, and Stephanie, one of these wines will look familiar. We go parabolically all over the world, from Greece to Napa to one of those benchmarks I was talking about from the Loire Valley that is Chenin Blanc, Sauvignon. Then we jump over to one of my favorite producers of Gruner Veltliner from Austria. Then Merceau, that is one of the great producers, Fichet. Then I get to tell you my story about my visit to Alsace and Ugel and the Grossi-Lau, which is one of their top single vineyards. And that's the current vintage I bought from the winery, 2014. This is nothing but ridiculous stuff. Top wine from Greece, top wine from Napa, top wine from Loire Valley, top wine from Austria, top wine from Burgundy, and then Alsace. Only a couple spots left. I'm so happy to see that this tasting next week is doing well. It says 19 in stock. We'll be selling this one out soon. That was when we made the slideshow. I don't know how many are there left, but we will probably close this by Friday. So join us if you can. It's a great one. And by the way, we have now published all of our tastings. We go a little heavier in April than I probably was going to, because when we get to the summer, some of these topics get a little painful when it's 100 degrees out there. So I wanted to build in some great topicality before the heat of summer. And there's just so much to talk about and so many great wines in the store. So I found excuses to throw in a bunch of great topics. We're going to do a few more free sessions as well, where it's no wine, just a great conversation about how to build a wine cellar, wine collection, what things to do, not to do, and some cool wines that I think you guys will enjoy to kind of make your cellar happy over time. And then, but take a look at the list. We put a lot of them together. There's some really fun wines involved. We were just with Craven before, and he was kind of the inspiration behind this tasting tonight. So we just tasted the, classic Steen. Now we're going to go to a not so classic grape variety, but one that a lot of small producers are starting to explore. This is Cinsault. Cinsault. I don't know that I've ever had a Cinsault on our Zoom, and if I did, it was years ago. So, yes, thanks for all the support, guys. Appreciate it. Oh, pork dumplings with ginger. That sounds great. I'm starving. By the way, anything with carbs sounds fantastic. I've been all protein. All protein. No potatoes, no bread, no pasta. Just, you could just kill me right now. I'm just so miserable. But the wine is helping. And I have lost 15 pounds, so it's starting to work. Got another 15 to go before I fit in the good suit. All right, Craven is the producer, Cinsault, Stellenbosch. Let's go right into the wine. Cherry, strawberries, cream. How bad could that be? Floral, rocky minerality. One thing I will say about Cinsault is they do tend to have fairly low alcohol. And I said that knowing that this wine should or could, and it's really low. It's 11.5. I'm telling you, every wine I tasted from this producer made me go, dude, you're really good at what you do. The nose of this wine is crazy. It's cherries, strawberries, and cream. And then you hit that rocky minerality. It just, boom, just like that. How does it end up with low alcohol? Because they're farming it for quality. They're picking, and this grape does mature fairly early on. You notice the color on this wine. It's super dark. It's a thinner skinned grape. It grows a little faster, and they're going to pick it earlier, pick it kind of like with the whites in the early part of the vintage. And here, this guy's doing it like all natural. Like, it's not a natty wine at all, by the way. This one's got a little preservative, a little bit of sulfur, just to protect it, but no filtration, old vines, low yields. He is not trying to compete for the cheapest wine in South Africa, which I totally respect, because there's too many people chasing, diluted thing. And we massive stuff, and really around $30 South Africa. So why would you go down to like $10-12 for South Africa? It's just not where you're going to typically find the greatest example. 91 points Vinous. That's the dude right there. That's Mick. Super tall. When he showed up to see me, by the way, he had been lifting a lot of weights. That's pictures before he got a personal trainer, I'm pretty sure. $24. Okay, this wine is 3 times as expensive as most Stellenbosch simple. He is putting the quality work in and doing super detailed stuff. And the importer brings in, this is probably the least expensive wine they sell. They sell me like $300 Burgundy, plus I don't buy the $600 stuff because I can't. But they have really good taste, really high-end selections, and this guy's representing, at the top end, small. This is not a grocery store producer for South Africa. But man, that nose is so cool. All right, Stephanie, you guys like some old fashions too. Do you smell the blood orange peel in that thing? It's kind of got a little bit of that.
I can see that. But definitely taste the minerality.
Mm-hmm. 11.5. I'm just saying, you could drink this at work. I do. All right, we're gonna go straight into. Is this 5 already? Or yeah, 5. Where's the 5th one? Put a bottle somewhere. I can't find it. Delicious. I'm going to drink that one later. If I survive. I haven't had wine in weeks. Like a petri dish. You're pouring wine into a vessel that hasn't had any for a while. No carbs. All the science is happening at once. Elderton, Shiraz, Barossa. This is a benchmark producer. I'm not going to say much because we probably say it all in the video. My friend Chris is back.
All right. So my friends in Zoomland, we've met Chris a few times in the past. I think it's now Chris's turn. He turned to his expert because Chris runs the whole show for the portfolio. He turned to his friend from Tyrrell's to show us the way. And now we're going to be talking about some Shiraz, Chris, which I'm excited about.
Absolutely. I love talking Shiraz. Syrah, Shiraz.
Tell us about Elderton.
Well, Elderton is an iconic winery, one of the most famous wineries in all of Australia. Known for making some of the standard bearers of Barossa Shiraz. They are owned currently by the Ashmead family. They're located right near Adelaide, and you can look on the map. A beautiful part of this amazing country that is Australia. The vineyard was planted originally in 1894 by the Schultz family, and then purchased by the Ashmeads in 1979. It was actually a great story. The Ashmeads, who were originally from Australia, had been working overseas and come back to Australia to settle back in, and they were looking for a house, and they were looking in and around the Adelaide and Barossa area, and the real estate broker they were working with was trying to close them on this beautiful farmhouse, and they were on the fence. They liked the house, but they weren't sure. And the guy, as a close, he said, "Look, if you buy the house, we'll throw all these vineyards in for free." And so I don't think that was the reason they purchased the property, but in 1979 they closed and they purchased what is now Elderton Winery, and of course, at that point in time, they inherited all these amazing vines all around this working winery, and they looked around and said, "I guess we're going to start making wine," and that's how they got in the wine business. I think the first release was 1982. One of the things you'll see about the Barossa, and specifically where these guys are located, everything is dry grown, everything is on alluvial soils. And the dominant grape variety in this area is Syrah or Shiraz.
This is 90 Shiraz, 10 Cabernet Sauvignon. And you and I have drank this wine together, and I love it. Is there anything special they're doing that makes their wine a little different?
Well, I think that oftentimes we talk a lot big, bold flavors, right? They're not trying to hide the fact that they're Barossa. This is a powerful wine that shows a lot of fruit. I think label lists at 14.5, so this is a big, powerful wine. It can hold up to braised dishes, grilled meats, the classic kind of steak and big red pairings that we love. But one of the things that I really think about distinction here is it doesn't taste or feel heavy.
Mhm.
It doesn't have that weight that sometimes comes in that kind of vanillin component when you see a lot of oak. So there's fruit. It's a warm climate. There's fruit, but there's richness and elegance as well. And I think if anything, I would say that Elderton's Barossa Shiraz is both big and bold, but restrained at the same time. And I think that's really what I love about it. It's not just jammy. It's powerful, but with elegance. And I think a lot of that, as you can see, Jules on the picture right here. Jules is the winemaker, and she's got an unbelievable palate. I think her love for Riesling is why she makes such delicious Shiraz that shows a little bit of that wonderful acidity as well.
Well, it's I have actually been to the Barossa Valley, and it is a gorgeous place, and the vines are canvassing the entire area. You can see some beautiful older vines here, and sunshine is drenching. It can get very warm in the summertime. Harvest is around February, March, and the vintage that we have in our store, 2019, we're showcasing it at around $34, which is a really great price value and a delicious way to show off the variety tonight. Thank you, Chris, for joining us and telling us about Elderton. Anything else you'd like to close with?
This is you have a sensational price on the list. There's some fruit in this. There's over 50-year-old vines. The pedigree that's in this bottle is outstanding, Ian. So kudos to you for picking two really outstanding wines and having this Elderton Shiraz, especially with a little bit of bottle age, is outstanding. So it's a jump on this one.
Thank you so much, Chris. We'll talk to you soon, and I appreciate all the support always.
A pleasure, Ian. Thank you.
So when the Eldertons were in town, I'm kind of giving my spiel that I'm really working on trying to find wines that are, iconic to the place, that represent the terroir, small families, and I don't have a ton of Australian wines, so I'm very selective. And 2019 became available to us through that relationship. I really enjoyed it. I picked it amongst many different offerings from this producer, and they are just a really decent family. And of course, Chris is remarkable too. And I love having a wine like this in our arsenal, and the price point is really, really strong. So if you enjoyed it like I did, I'm not sure how many of you have been to the Barossa Valley, but when I was there last, it was probably 118 degrees. It was so hot. It was the right time of the year to be warm. I was there probably like December, January, many years ago, and even the kangaroo were not participating. They were like, we're out. It's too hot. And yet the vines kind of shut down at that temperature, and they, the warm temperatures can do a lot of things. They start to dry out the fruit a little bit. Some of the fruit gets a little smaller. The skins of the fruit get a little thicker because they're protecting what they're creating. That's what the vines do. And that's why Barossa is so interesting. And this is a wine that carries 14.9 alcohol, actually. And yet it doesn't seem like it's that warm, but truly is a dramatic expression, at the same time being very balanced, great length, very good intensity, and nice complexity. A very nice wine.
All right, so
I won't make you watch that twice. Let's do that again, Ian. Let's go back. Where did that go? Technology has not been my friend today. I don't know if any of it are we in like retrograde or something, because I'm having some problems. Libra's broken here. All right. We step into one of the benchmark wines of Australia. So we go from a very approachable $30-ish bottle to something a little bit more extreme. And I will hand it over to the expert.
Each week when we zoom into wine, we try to get great experts to help us out. And today we get Andy Ulrich, who is the portfolio specialist for Winebow Imports, and quite frankly, just one of my favorite people to work with in the wine industry. She works so hard and she's super dependable, and she's going to be our expert today. And Andy's really enlightened on all things Southern Hemisphere. And so we've got the Yalumba, one of my personal favorite wines in our store from Australia. And it's a 97 pointer. It's a 2022 vintage. It's listed as a Cab Shiraz. And we're in Barossa Valley. And Andy, thank you so much for joining us and giving us the 911 about this brand.
My pleasure. Great to be here. Talking also too about one of my favorite wineries and, more importantly, winemaking families since 1849.
Wow.
Yeah.
And this little brand, tell us about, is there anything like historic about Yalumba's past?
Yeah, absolutely. So I always say that Yalumba, from a brand, from a winery, those who know. And those who know in the Barossa are going to know Yalumba. There are other wineries that made their mark early in the 1950s, Henschke, Penfolds with Grange and Hill of Grace. But yet there's been a winery and a winemaking family, next door neighbors to all of these, that have been around since 1849, starting with Samuel Smith. And then here we are 5-6 generations later, Robert Hill Smith. So this is part of the Hill Smith family. Robert Hill Smith, who took the reins in the 1960s, and his daughter, Jessica Hill Smith, who is now serving in marketing and also working alongside with him at the winery. But besides being still family owned and operated, a unique point of difference for wineries in the Barossa for that long, they celebrated 175 years. They're going on 177 years, let's say, in November, of family ownership in winemaking. A couple other notable things about Yalumba. First, they have their own on-site cooperage, which is the only one in the Southern Hemisphere. So they are making their barrels, and it is the actual highlight someday when you go to the winery to be able to go in and experience the coopers making those barrels. They source their wood, basically French, Hungarian, and Slovenian, and a little bit of American. So they're working with a blend. And really, their barrel program is all about essentially not following a specific recipe, but also just so. Besides being still family owned and operated since 1849, 6 generations of family winemaking. Robert Hill Smith, who is the 5th generation at the helm, he is really considered the pioneer of the family, because he is the one in the 1960s started expanding outside of the Barossa with other projects into other regions within Australia, as well as down into Tasmania and New Zealand. But the heart and soul of this winery is in the Barossa. Other notable facts about the history of this winery: number one, they have their own on-site cooperage, making their own barrels. French, Hungarian, American, and Slovenian oak. No set recipe as to which barrels get which program primarily, but it's really all about, what is it that each vintage that essentially the wines are going to need. But it's really quite the experience when you visit the winery to be able to go in there and to see the coopers creating these barrels, toasting them, working with the fire. It's a scene, and when you leave, just all toasty and warm, and just, it's amazing. I love it. Love it. You're gonna love it. It's amazing. So on-site cooperage. Yalumba also has their own nursery. So they are essentially propagating the health of all the vines that come into Yalumba, as well as surrounding wineries within South Australia, because in South Australia, there is no phylloxera. Very, very strict quarantine rules. And when you go to visit the wineries within the Barossa and the Eden Valley, you will stand in a foot soak for at least a minute, being timed before you are allowed onto the property.
Wow.
And that's how serious it is throughout the Barossa. So on-site cooperage, we've got the nursery. We have got long-standing employees, not only 6 generations of family winemaking, but when you enter through the doors of the winery, there are these paddles that look like you're entering into a fraternity that are called the VSOPs. And that's not cognac aging. That is essentially very special old people. And that is the list of names of people who have worked at Yalumba for 30 plus years. And you see this listing of these names of multiple similar family names because there's many generations that have worked there. So family owned, it is very much what embraces, like, you know, the overall culture of Yalumba is essentially a sense of community, a sense of longevity, hereditary, and basically the history, the evolution, and the revolution of what is going on in the Barossa, as well as the contributions that the Hill-Smith family has made. So some really cool stuff.
You nailed it.
Yeah.
Thank you. This wine, every time I taste it, is just so spectacular. It's a great ambassador for Australia, for the Barossa. Also, really kind of shows you what Cab Shiraz are capable of. Is this their top wine? Where does this lie in their family of wine?
Yeah, this lies in what they call their rare and fine collection, which essentially is going to be the top shelf of that, part of their icon program. But this is one of the wines that has like the longest lineage, because this is the wine that they've been making since the 1960s. And in 1968 is when they coined this wine, the signature, when Robert Hill-Smith decided that this blend, the classic Cabernet Sauvignon and Shiraz, which embodies everything about the Barossa, that this is when they were going to start naming and honoring a vintage after a person that really embodies the whole spirit of Yalumba. So from 1968 to current day, every release of the signature, there is an honoree. And with this vintage, Paul Medulo, who is a sales executive for Australia and New Zealand, had this vintage named after him. And with that honor comes your name on the bottle, and then your story of Yalumba is on the back part of the bottle. So again, that classic blend, 51% Cabernet Sauvignon, 49% Shiraz. This is all Barossa fruit. The vines of the Shiraz, those vines date between anywhere from 45 years up to 100 years from their various vineyards that they have there. So these are vines that are classified in the Old Vine Charter. So it's just this complete classic blend, aged for 18 months in a combination of French and Hungarian oak, about 20% new. So yes, everything that we love about the marriage of these two varietals coming together and representing essentially the history of the Barossa.
Well, 97 points is not a casual score. This is a top scoring wine for Australia, a top scoring wine for even this wine itself. I've carried it for several years. I think 97 is one of the higher marks I've seen, and really beautiful, talking about the Cab Shiraz, floral, red fruited and fine. A beautiful iteration of this wine. Iconically, or ironically, there's a coastal freshness about it. Kelp, brine, crushed shells, giving it is nowhere near the coast. It's just a fantastic review for such a complicated wine, such an iconic wine, and I think 97 points got my attention. I order it almost without seeing the scores, but I think it sells through at a little faster rate. We're moving through this inventory pretty quickly. When is the optimal time to drink this wine, Andi?
This is a wine that can definitely be enjoyed when you pull the cork. It is a crowd pleaser because, again, of that combination of the coopered Aging potential, definitely up to 10 to 15. Maybe like about 3 years before I would crack into it to have a little bit full, more bottle finesse going on. But definitely, this is a wine that you don't need to hold back on, and now more than ever, we all need to have a great glass of wine.
You got it. So we have more in inventory than the slideshow says. Just got another case in stock today, actually 2 6-packs. So we're ready for you if you like this beautiful signature. And we thank you, Andy, for doing this again with us. We love a lot of the wines that you oversee, and we thank you for your time today.
My pleasure. Thank you and enjoy.
I'm very serious about all the things I just said about her. She just works super hard, and she's every day I'm talking to her. She's following up with me from some other market. She's I think she was doing that from Palm Springs. We had a little technical difficulty and lost the internet for a second. She came back, but had to kind of reset. Sorry, there was a little overlap there, but we did our best on the edit. $75 is where this one falls. So my goal on this tasting was to show you, the spectrum here between a great little $34 bottle and an icon at 75. And honestly, this is another one of those wines that could be a lot more expensive. This is just so dense and crazy. And I want you to put it in your mind, okay, $75. What other wines of the world would taste at $75 would have this much character and a richness and fleshiness and power, and at 97 points for $75? That's just a lot of wine for the money. And that's what I wanted to show off. It's not a wine I get to show very often. I probably sell 3 cases a year. But again, this 97 has been flying through a little quicker than the others. And that's good. That's good. I really root for the great small producers. And I love the little story about the signature. There literally is the name of the sales manager. He's worked there for 35 years. Right on the bottom of the bottle. And every year they do that for one of their VSOP, very special old people. I thought that was super cool. All right, a little bonus for you guys because you guys deserve it. 7th wine. And so I also realized, hey, we're going, Southern Hemisphere. We're tasting a little bit of South Africa. We haven't tasted any Pinotage, and it's been years since we had a Pinotage on the program. So let's talk a little Pinotage. This is Backsburg, 2019. This is down in Parle, which is directly to the east of Stellenbosch, Cape Town. And I went down there many years ago. I love what I found in South Africa. I know a lot of people that are down there right now. My friend Chris and some others that I love that have worked here in LA, and they decided to relocate to South Africa and start a life in South Africa. I think it's brilliant, and I'm hopeful to hear great stories about everything that they're working on and doing. The wine industry down there is tumultuous. They're suffering from different things. And during the pandemic, we were so involved in trying to promote South Africa because only wines that could be exported to America were being sold during the pandemic. They couldn't sell any wines to the locals. And I thought that was just barbaric. But it was part of the government shutdown. They wouldn't allow alcohol sales. And there were all kinds of things that were challenging for me. But this particular estate goes back to the early 1900s. The Backsburg organization, really well run. A lot of wineries have these ethos where they're there to like not just employ people, but to educate them, provide them with great health care, and really turn them into like family members that are there for a long period of time. And this is a little teeny winery that makes beautiful little juicy wines. We've sold hundreds of cases of Backsburg through years. I bought a bunch of the 19 Pinotage a while back. I still have several cases, and Pinotage is a little bit misunderstood. It is a hybrid grape. They took a little Pinot Noir and Cinsault, brought them together, and created this new species called Pinotage. The idea was that they wanted to kind of knock, it's the irony of it, because we're talking about back in the 1800s, 1700s, they wanted to knock some of the fruitiness out of all of the sunshine that was happening in South Africa and create a grape variety that didn't taste like it was getting all the sun. So they created Pinotage to smell a little earthier, a little bit more reminiscent of Europe, because Europe was drinking the wine faster than they were making it. And so South Africa became a very valid wine market for the European market, and Pinotage was born. It had a moment when it was, the wine to drink and the value and all that stuff. And it's kind of had to take another position now as a kind of a benchmark variety that we should be identifying. It's now classic to South Africa. I do know a couple of people that are growing it in California just for fun. South Africans, of course. There's always like a little reminiscence of like s'mores around the campfire whenever I smell uh, Pinotage. Some producers a little more pronounced than maybe this one. And this one's got just a little bit of bottle age, 2019. Like I said, I used to buy this Backsburg brand by like the 25 case half pallet. I would bring in the rosé, the Chenin, the Pinotage, all in and I get the best price possible. Because during the pandemic, we were looking for wines with exceptional price value, and nothing was coming in with that prescription better than South Africa. It's got wonderful balance, really pretty wine, got great definition, iconically Pinotage, definitely South African, $20. And the Backsburg family, really, really a great producer. Now, the ownership has recently stepped, he wanted to retire. He has his son in place. He's kind of in transition with that. They've got some money backer that has come in to help. So we'll see what Backsburg 2.0 or 3.0 looks like in a few years. But this was my friend was the importer of this brand. I don't think he's going to continue with it. So I don't know how much longer I'll have these selections in place, but I got a little bit of rosé remaining, a little bit of Pinotage, and very little Chenin. And it was absolutely one of our best-selling wines for the last few years. So I wanted to kind of check in on this guy. 12 bottles left. I said we have cases left, but I did literally go to storage and get the last case out for this promotion, and so we're down inside the last case now. So I want to thank Backsburg for being so great and such a good deal, and I hope I hear good stories in what becomes the next chapter of their story. In conclusion of tonight, we are we have one spot to go to Champagne. Now, I could add a few more, but I need one more spot for the Champagne trip. And so we're in good shape because it's quite a few months away. But we added Dom Perignon to the visit. We've got the #1 hotel in all of Champagne involved, and I've got that room block until April 1st. So if you want to come, let me know, take a look, and get involved. Also, our membership program is still available. If you want to learn more, you can save 10% off everything for the entire year, whether it's Zooms or wine. And that's how we're doing it this year. We're going to give it a different type of spin. And I thank you for letting me do this with you guys. It's been a lot of fun. I hope my diet versus wine didn't result in me saying anything I will regret later, but hope you guys enjoyed the program and enjoyed the wines. Jen, thank you for joining us tonight. Janice, hope you're doing good. Are you in New York or in LA?
I am back in LA, yeah. I moved back in August, so I am permanently back here and happy to be back, especially this winter, and happy to be able to participate in your Zooms again and get the wines.
Awesome. Yeah, our designer actually lives in Brooklyn, and she's sending me pictures every day of
I know.
14 feet of
Awful,
snow in
awful.
Brooklyn. It's like the
I
worst.
know. Awful winter.
Yeah. Jen, did you have any favorites tonight?
I really enjoyed the Cinsault a lot.
Good.
The nose just I don't even have to drink that wine. I could just sit and nose it all night, and I was uh happy to try the Semillon. I was excited to try that, and I love that wine as well. Um, the reds were a little big for me, but other than the Cinsault. But I do like the signature. I mean, that's an amazing wine for the price.
Yeah, that's a baseball bat. That thing is definitely big. It's
Hmm.
muscular, intense, ripe, and rich. And
Yeah.
but I totally get you, and I'm super happy we found
But I
something.
had I had a little food pairing set up here as I was going, so um, I would love to try the Pinotage with maybe with some like grilled meat or something like that.
Yeah, for sure.
But it has like a little bit of smoke in it, and it's really tasty.
Yeah, barbecued ribs work out really good with Pinotage.
Mhm.
You can play around with different barbecue sauces, kind of bring it towards it. Just something fun. I use a little cacao with a barbecue sauce. It's kind of fun. You can.
Okay, so I also had some chocolate here.
Mhm. That's fun too. And the
Okay.
s'mores reference, don't take that lightly. That's a really fun thing to do.
Mhm.
Melted chocolate with Pinotage works pretty good.
Yeah. So yeah, it was fun. It was great. Thank you.
Pleasure. I'm so glad you could be here. Amy, it's always great to have you here. Teresa, thank you so much. Janice, I'm so glad you're back in LA. And
Yeah, I wanted to ask, I don't know if I can ask an off-topic thing. I was just in Cabo last week and had some fantastic wines. And I haven't had a chance to look at your assortment of Mexican wines, but I had some really great cabs that literally would rival California cabs, and just wanted to get your thoughts on wines as I look through your website.
well, I wish I was exposed to all the things that are happening in in the wines of Mexico. Like if you were down in Cabo, you're seeing
Yeah.
stuff that we're not seeing.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know if they were like imported or just small producers, but they were fantastic.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a revolution going on down there. Honestly, the fun way to think of it is like trying to sell Mexican wines into California is like bringing a sack lunch to a buffet. There's just too much here, and
Yeah.
so and if you go to Cabo or anywhere in Mexico and you come back across the border, you're supposed to only come back with one bottle. So
Mm.
that's it. And so you don't get to go down there, shop, and come back with a bunch of wine very often. And there is a lot to appreciate down there for sure. So and the wine thing isn't Guadalupe Wine Valley anymore. It's from like
Yeah.
it's south of Tijuana all the way to Mexico
Mhm.
City now. It is
Hmm.
it's global. The business is going global. Most of that stuff is going to Northern Europe where they don't make a lot of wine and other countries of the world. And there's a lot of wine talent down there from France to Italy to people of all over the world that want to find, the next what where they can plant. So kudos to you for going down there and finding some cool new stuff. Some of it could be a little difficult to find, but if you find something that you love that you think I should seek out, let me know because some of these importers, they maybe even have it and they're not out showing it.
Yeah. Okay.
Just so I have to kind of go out and ask for stuff often that's not showable. And but I love wines in Mexico. I really do. And I get to judge at the LA County Fair with a bunch of winemakers from Mexico, and that's
Oh,
usually where I
wow.
learn about new things,
Yeah.
brands, and new people. And some of those I have in the store. I have a lot of weird stuff from Mexico in the site, and it kind of like sits there for like 6 months, and then all of a sudden somebody comes in and buys it all.
Mm.
I don't carry a huge inventory of those wines, but I love what we have.
Yeah.
And
Okay. I'll have to look because I'm very interested because everything I had was fantastic.
yeah, there isn't anything from Baja or Mexico that I just dissuade people from buying it, obviously, but take a look and see that there's some really fun little producers and there's some good, I have some personal heroes that I love down there. Hugo de Costa wines are things that you got to carry from Mexico. And then there's the other stuff that we have, and some of them are like mom and pops.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, there's a lot of little treasures down there. So I'm glad you made it down there to do that. Well, we have a lot of Zooms coming up, and I thank you all for your support. Everybody that's here tonight, you guys have been really, why we do this, because it's so great to see you and to taste with you and to have your support. So, truthfully, I really do this for fun, for my own kind of education, and to be able to record with the wineries. So we're taking this approach to some friends to join us, and we want to make this a bigger year for this category. It's a lot of effort. We record these sessions, we edit these videos, and we have a full team here to do all this stuff. But we really need a big audience, and we hope that we can get that, and we will continue to work the topics around and see where that audience is found. So tell some friends, and thank you guys for supporting. Have a great night, everybody else.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Night.